Okay, and this is lesson 15, and the review problem from yesterday says, use the graph below to find the percent change in cat adoption from March to April at the animal shelter. So the question is directly asking us to find the percent. So I know very first thing I'm going to put right here is x over 100 because I don't know the percent. It's also asked me to find the percent of change. So I'm going to look at how did it change from March. Here's March and here's April. Well, you can see it definitely went up. So obviously this is going to be what percent did it go up or increase. And so the label over here is going to be the increase amount. We should know by now that the bottom number is always the original number. So if I look, we're looking from March to April, so March would be the original, and immediately you might notice that there's 6 cats there. But we got to be careful with that because you got to look at your key on a pictograph, and it says each cat is worth 5. So if there's 6 cats and each one's worth 5, 6 times 5 is 30. So the original amount of cats is 30, and the bottom number here is 30. Okay, so then the next number we know is in April. We can see there are 9 cats, and 9 times each one of those are 5. So in April there is 45 different adoptions. Got to be careful. That is not how much it changed. That's not how much it went up. So I don't want to put that there. I do want to put the ending amount is 45. So now I just have to think, what would this be? 30 and what make 45? And so that would be an increase of 15. So therefore, this top number is a 15 because it's how much it goes up. All right, we're at the point that you need to multiply across and divide. So you're going to take 15 times 100, and you're going to divide by 30. And the answer is going to be 50. But the question is, what percent is that? So we're going to say it's a 50% increase. Okay, it says, oops, the animal shelter made a mistake on the key in the pictograph on the previous page. The cat picture actually stands for 10 cats instead of 5 cats. What's the percent change in the adoptions using this revised key? So you're going to have to kind of flip back and forth. So if we remember, we'll look for percent, so I need to have x over 100. We still remember it increased, so this is going to be an increase amount. So over here is going to be the increase amount. And the original amount was in March, and in March there were 6 cats, and each one stands for 10, so 6 times 10 is 60. So in March, the original number is 60. In April, there were 9 cats, and each one represents 10, so that's 90. So at the end, the new amount is 90. Again, we have to figure out how much this is. 60 and what make 90? That number would have to be 30. Put the 30 up there. Go ahead and multiply across diagonally. Divide by 60. We're still going to get the same number. It's still going to be a 50% increase. Number 1 says, suppose you buy a $40 book bag at the mall in another state and pay $2 in sales tax. What's the tax rate in this state? So when you pay sales tax, they always have a certain percent sales tax rate. So when they say, what's the sales tax rate, really we're looking for the percent. So immediately I know that has to be x over 100, and this is going to be the sales tax. So over here is going to be the sales tax. You buy a $40 book, that's your original amount, so that's going to go on the bottom. And you pay $2 in sales tax, that's your part. And then you have the 3 numbers, so you can go ahead and multiply across and divide. So 2 times 100 and divide by 40, and you're going to get 5. So you know it's 5 over 100, which means it's a 5% sales tax. Okay, this question was cut off. It says, find the sales tax on a $400 Xbox 360 game at Best Buy in Rochester, Minnesota, if the sales tax rate is 7%. Immediately the number that's jumping out at me is a 7%, so I know that's going to go right here. 7 over 100, and that's the tax rate. So 7 is the tax amount, so over here is going to be the tax amount. So the question is, what is the sales tax? We don't know this number. That's where my X goes. But this is a $400 game. That's your original amount. You have to pay $400. Okay, you go ahead and you multiply across and divide. So you go 400 times 7, then divide by 100, and you're going to get 28. But we have to make sure we're answering the question. So the original is 400, and the sales tax is 28 to give you a total price of 428. Now we have to make sure what the question says. It just says find the sales tax. So they really don't want a total price, so our answer would just be the $28. If the question would have said find the total price, then 428 would have been your answer. Okay, it says not including how much it might cost to travel to Maine. How much cheaper is it to buy the 400 Xbox 360 game at Best Buy in Bangor, Maine, where the sales tax rate is 5%? So we know our sales tax rate is 5%, so immediately I'm going to go 5 over 100, and I'm going to label that sales tax, and then over here is going to be the tax amount. It still is a $400 game, so that's your total, and we are still looking for the tax amount. We're going to go ahead and multiply across and divide. So take 400 times 5 and divide by 100, and you're going to get a $20 tax. So if we look at the original game is $400, you're going to pay $20 in tax. The new game is $420. And if you look back at our last example, the one we just did, in the Rochester, Minnesota, it was 428 was our answer. And now here it would be 420. So the question is, how much cheaper is it to buy in Maine? Basically $8 difference. So I wouldn't recommend hopping on an airplane going to Maine to save the $8. In Hawaii, where the sales tax is 4%, what would be the total cost with tax on a leather coat that costs $200? So immediately I see that it's a 4%, so it's going to go 4 over 100. We're going to label it tax, so over here is going to be labeled tax. The coat is $200. That's obviously not the tax amount. That's your original price of your coat. So that's going to go on the bottom. We're going to calculate right now what our tax amount is. So we're going to take 200 times 4, divide by 100, and we get 8. $8 is the tax. But now we're going to be careful. So we're going to go ahead and fill this bottom part in. So $200 is the coat. The tax is how much it's going to change by. And so if you have to pay $200 for the coat, $800 for the tax, your new price is going to be $208. But what does the question say? What is the total cost of the coat? The total cost is $208. So if you just gave $8, that would be wrong. That would be how much the tax is. So you have to really read your questions and see if they want to know a total cost or just the tax. Okay, this one says Ricardo took his family out to dinner. The bill was $60. If Ricardo wants to leave the server a 15% tip, how much money should he leave? What's the total cost of the meal? So immediately that 15% jumps out at me. I'm going to write 15 over 100. And then I'm going to label it, what is it, a 15%? It's a tip. So over here I'm going to pay the tip. All right, so the question, the only other number says the bill was $60. That was what your original bill is. That's going to go here. I can now figure out that missing number. So we're going to take 60, we're going to multiply by 15 and divide by 100. We get $9. So we're going to go ahead and fill in this bottom. So our bill was 60, our tip is 9, and if we think about what that means, so total bill 60, you have to pay a tip of 9, the total amount that's going to cost is going to be $69. So let's make sure we answer the question. The question says how much should he, if he wants to leave the server 15% tip, how much money should he leave? That would be $9, so we leave that on the table. The total cost of his meal now becomes $69. Next question says Kia wanted to get a manicure pedicure treatment before going to the prom. She wanted to leave a generous 20% tip. The cost of the treatment was $60. How much did she pay for the treatment, including the tip? So immediately I see, 20%, so that's my tip. It's going to be 20 over 100. I'm going to leave a T for tip, and over here is going to be the T for tip. And the original cost of the treatment was $60. So that's going to go in the original spot, the bottom spot. And we have to go ahead and figure out the tip. We can do that now. So all we're going to do is take 60 times 20, divide by 100, and we're going to get a $12 tip. So I'm going to fill in this bottom information. The original price was $60. The how much it changed, the $12 tip we're going to leave. So if you have to pay for the manicure pedicure, you have to tip the person. That's the change amount. Totally, it's going to cost you $72. So let's make sure we answer the question. If the cost of the treatment was $60, how much did she pay for the treatment, including the tip? That would be our answer. It's going to be $72. Be careful not to put $12. $12 would only be the tip, and then you're not answering the question. Next question says Margot asked for a Sony laptop for a high school graduation that cost $800. Her aunt Sissy, who lives in Menominee, Wisconsin, brought the laptop for Margot. The sales tax in Menominee, Wisconsin is 5%. So we have to do a couple things. We have to calculate the sales tax by finding 5% of 800 and what will be the total cost including the sales tax. So if the sales tax is 5%, immediately I know this goes 5 over 100. This is the tax amount. So over here is going to be your tax amount. So the laptop costs $800 total. That was the original price that goes on the bottom. I now have my three numbers. All you're going to do is take your 800 times 5 and divide by 100, and you're going to get $40. So part A says calculate the tax. We have it done. It's right there. It's a $40 in tax. Part B says what's the total cost, including the tax. Well, if I fill this bottom in, that tells me the laptop was $800, the tax was $40, the total price is going to be $840. Okay, I know it's really hard to read on the screen, but you have your paper right in front of you. So you can just look at the paper when we do this. It says, suppose the price of $30.99 for regular admission to Valley Fair Amusement Park went up 15% because the park was becoming very popular. Then the price was lowered by 13.5% because business slowed down. What would be the final price? Is it less than, the same, or greater than the original price? So we're going to first have to do the increase. So it says to find the 15% increase. So I know it's a 15% increase. So immediately that's going to be 15 over 100. I'm going to put an arrow up because that's how much it goes up. So over here is going to be how much it goes up. The original price of admission is $30.99. That's going to go in the bottom spot. I now have the three numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and take $30.99 times 15 and divide by 100. And if I round to make that look like money, it's 4.65. It actually is 4.648, but that 8 is high. So we're going to round that to the nearest penny. So basically they increased the amount by $4.65. So now we got to fill in this bottom section. So the original price was $30.99. They increased the price by $4.65. So we have to figure out what they're charging now. So $30.99 plus $4.65 is $35.64 is their new price that they're charging for admission. But now they want to lower their price because not enough people are coming, and they want to lower it by 13.5%. So I'm going to figure that one out here. So 13.5 over 100, because that's what percent means. This is what they're going to decrease. So I'm going to put an arrow down. So over here is the arrow down. And now we have a new original amount. Remember, the price went up. So the original amount now, the ticket is really $35.99. and 64 cents. We have our three numbers, so we can go ahead and calculate that. 35.64 times 13.5 divide by 100 is going to be 4.81. And there's a 1 after it, but that's low, so it'll just stay $4.81. So if we figure out what's happening, so the original price was $35.64. We are going to lower it by $4.81. So we're going to figure out the new price by just taking $35.64, lower it by 4.81, and we have $30.83. That's the new ticket price. So the question is, what's the final price? Right here, and that basically would be $30.83. That would be the answer to that. And then the question says, is it less than, the same as, or greater than the original price? It is less than.